In this video, we're going to be looking into what's called loops. And again, we already tried this a little bit with the SAS last semester, but we're just going to create a JavaScript version of this. Basically a loop, or what we're going to use the for loop here. It's going through something as long as the statement is true. So similar to our if statement. So if something is true, then you're going to do this, and at some point when it's not true, you're going to stop. And that's what we're going to try to create here. So we're just going to take out our code here that we created, and we're going to create a for loop. So just like we did with our if statement, we are creating we're using the name for, using a parentheses and our curly brackets here. Inside our parentheses here, we're going to put in some parameters that we're going to use to say either this is true or not true. How do we go forward when it's true, false, and so on, and iterations and everything. First thing, we're just going to create a console log and just punch in a message. So let's, like this. So message, I don't know, for now, that's fine. And we're just going to keep it at this for now. We're changing it later. But we're going to do a console log for every time something is true. We're going to declare a variable up here, and we're going to use I. This is like, I don't know what it's short for. I'm guessing integers, which is another word for numbers, but I'm actually not sure where the I comes from, but it's being used a lot for this. So I'm going to set I to 0 from start. So it's going to start our loop from the number 0. That's declared, then we end our variable, much like you would outside of a, so when you create a variable outside, you would have this, variable I equals this. So that's kind of the reason why I use the semicolon after it. So just telling system next input is coming now. The next input is I'm going to use like in the if statement, so I'm going to create a condition. So as long as I is, let's go with bit 5. So as long as I is smaller than 5, this condition here is true. Right, but how do we make it go from 0 to 1 to 3, 4, 5 and then stop? We're going to use something called a auto increment, which means we're going to increase the number of I for one each time we do it. In this case, we just type I plus plus. This means basically I plus 1. So this is also a way to run. We can also write I plus 2 and so on, but plus plus means 1 for each time. So let's click save, go to our browser and see what that actually does to our console log. So it prints out messages 5 times. That's kind of, we can see the, so why does it print out messages 5 times? That's kind of like, that makes no sense. Dude, what are you doing? So instead of writing messages here, where we can also write number, that makes a little bit more sense. So number, and we kind of wanted to print out every number it goes through. So let's just do like we did with the concatenate. So space after our curly brackets plus I. This will print out the numbers. So number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we're doing a loop of our I. So every time I is, the condition is true, it's printing it out. First time I is 1, it's 0. And I is I smaller than 5? Yes, because it's 0, then it's going like this. So yes, that is true. Cool. Prints out a console log, then it says, okay, I printed out a console log. What's my next part? I'm going to add another value to I. So the next iteration would be, now this is equals to 1, 1 still true, and goes to the same information, 2, 2, 2, and up to, now we're up to 5. Says I is 5, if I is 5 smaller than 5, no, it's the same, then the loop stops. So when this condition here suddenly stops being true, then the loop also stops. So here declaring the start position of the loop, here we're declaring the condition, is it true or is it not true, and here we are declaring how much value should in our case, the I get for each iteration of the loop. So that's kind of a short introduction to how a for loop is being created. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how to use a for loop and an if loop together to create some extra things and different conditions and so on.